Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into something a little spicy today?
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
We're talking about the rose. It's a personal pleasure product that is like all over the internet right now.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. The rose, right.
Exactly. And today we're going to be like really getting into it.
Okay, I'm ready.
So we're diving deep into an article we found. It's from this publication called The Lost Tapes. And the article is called The Rose, a game changer in personal pleasure.
Interesting. What's so special about the rose? I mean, there are lots of pleasure products out there.
Well, that's what we're here to find out. So the article is packed with 13 user testimonials, and some of them are, well, let's just say they're pretty wild.
Wild, huh? Okay, you've got my attention.
Yeah, like these women are saying it's completely different from anything they've ever experienced.
Okay, well, let's get into it then. What are these women saying?
They're talking about intense, rapid pleasure. Like, we're talking climax in seconds.
Wow, seconds. That's fast.
Yeah. And some women even say it's better than anything they've experienced with partners.
Really? Better than with a partner. Now that is interesting.
Right. They're describing it as like blacking out from the intensity or reaching levels of pleasure they never thought possible.
That is intriguing. It makes you wonder what it is about the rose that's creating these reactions.
Right. So there's this woman, Sarah. She says she never experienced anything close to this level of intensity, ever.
So it was a totally new experience for her.
Completely. And then you've got Tara, who was surprised by how quickly and effectively it worked.
Compared to...
Oh, she was comparing it to other products she's tried. It sounds like the rose is just tapping into something unique, you know?
Yeah, there must be something different about it, right?
Right. And then there's Hannah's story.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say the rose helped her discover a whole new side of herself.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like this little device is pushing boundaries. It's making people rethink what's possible.
I see. It's opening up new possibilities.
Totally. And what's even crazier is that some women are talking about effects that go beyond the immediate experience.
What do you mean, like long-term effects?
Yeah. So there's this woman, Elena. She noticed a heightened sensitivity, but it wasn't just when she was using the rose. She felt it, like all the time.
Wait, really? So it's not just about what happens in the moment?
Yeah, that's what some of them are saying. It's like there might be some lasting impact.
Okay. Now that is fascinating. It makes you wonder what the implications are.
Absolutely. And then, oh my gosh, there's Jessica. She claims she actually experienced physical changes, like increased sensitivity and even like a change in size.
Whoa! Wait, are we talking what I think we're talking about?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty wild. I mean, could regular use of something like this actually lead to permanent changes? That's a huge question.
I know, right? It's pretty mind-blowing. It really makes you think, like, wow, what is going on here?
Exactly. And, you know, it really raises some questions for research, too.
Totally. So we've got these crazy, intense experiences, potential long-term effects. But the big question is why?
Yeah, what is it about the rose that makes it so different from everything else?
Right. Well, the article talks about its design. It uses this unique suction technology that's supposed to, like, stimulate very specific nerve endings.
Ah, so it's not just about, like, power or vibration.
Yeah, it's more targeted. And the shape, it's compact and kind of looks like a flower. It's designed to, you know, enhance that sensation.
So it's a combination of factors then. The suction, the shape. It's like they've really thought about how to, like, pinpoint those sensations.
That's it. It's like, have you ever had a massage where the therapist just knows exactly where to apply pressure for, like, the best effect?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like they hit that one spot and it's like, ah.
Exactly. That's what they're saying the rose does.
I see. So it's kind of like that, but for pleasure.
Wow, okay.
So we've got the physical design, but what about the psychological aspect? Could that be playing a role too?
That's a great point. There's this clinical psychologist, Dr. Eliza Roberts. She specializes in intimacy. And she says that feeling in control of your own pleasure can be a huge confidence booster.
Right, and confidence can definitely lead to better experiences, both solo and with a partner.
Exactly. So Dr. Roberts thinks the rose is giving women this sense of agency, you know, like they're in control of their own pleasure and exploration, and that's having this ripple effect on their overall intimacy and well-being.
So it's not just about the physical sensations, it's about empowering women to explore and understand their own bodies and desires.
That's what it seems like. And honestly, that's pretty awesome.
It is. It makes you think, like, could this be a game changer, not just for individual pleasure, but for relationships too?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're going to be getting into next.
Welcome back. We're in the middle of our deep dive into the world of the rose.
It's been a wild ride so far. intense orgasms, potential long-term effects. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it really is. And as much as we love hearing about these amazing experiences, it's always good to look at things from all sides.
Right. We need to be responsible about this.
Absolutely. So let's talk about some potential downsides or concerns.
Okay, yeah, let's get real for a minute. What are some things we should be thinking about?
Well, one concern that often pops up with these products that provide such intense stimulation is the possibility of habituation.
Okay, wait, habituation. Break that down for me. What does that even mean?
Basically, if you're constantly exposed to a very strong stimulus, your body can get used to it.
Yeah.
You might need more and more intensity to get the same level of pleasure.
Oh, I see. If you always blast your music super loud, eventually it doesn't sound as loud anymore.
Exactly. It's like your body adjusts to the level of stimulation.
So with the rose, does that mean regular use could make other things feel less intense?
That's the worry. Could it make other forms of touch or even sex with a partner feel less satisfying?
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about that. So that's a real possibility then.
We don't know for sure. It's something researchers are still looking into. But it's a valid concern. It's all about balance, paying attention to your body and how it responds.
Right. It would be ironic if something designed to, enhance pleasure actually made other aspects of your sex life less exciting.
Exactly. It's kind of like getting used to fancy gourmet meals all the time. Suddenly, a simple home-cooked meal might not be as appealing.
Yeah, I get it. But I guess it's different for everyone, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Everybody is different. There's no guarantee the habituation will happen. It's just something to be aware of.
Okay, so we've got habituation. Anything else?
Another thing to keep in mind is unrealistic expectations.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
These testimonials, they paint a very, intense picture. Mind-blowing orgasms super fast.
And that's awesome for the women who experience that.
Absolutely.
You
But
know?
it's important to remember that not everyone will have the same reaction, right?
Right. It's like those perfect travel photos on Instagram. They make your vacation look boring in comparison.
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in the hype and start comparing your own experiences, but pleasure is so personal.
Yeah, so no pressure to have a blackout moment every time.
Definitely not. What matters is what feels good for you. Focus on your own journey of exploration.
Okay, good. That's reassuring.
So we've talked about habituation and unrealistic expectations. But, we've also heard some pretty positive stuff too.
True. Like Elena, who felt more sensitive overall, and Jessica, who experienced those physical changes.
Right. And that's where things get really mind-boggling. Could the rose or things like it actually change how women experience pleasure long term?
It's like we're on the edge of something totally new.
It's pretty exciting. But like we said before, balance is key.
Right. More research is needed. We don't want to just blindly accept the testimonials as the whole truth.
Absolutely. But at the same time, there's this energy around it. So much enthusiasm. It's hard to ignore that.
Yeah, it feels like it's really opening up a conversation, which is awesome. So where do we go from here?
Well, first off, I think it's great that we're finally having these conversations more openly,
For sure. It feels like we're finally getting to a place where we can talk about this stuff without shame.
It's a big step forward for women's sexual health and well-being.
Absolutely. Okay, so open communication is key. What else?
Well, it's also important to remember that everyone's journey is unique. What works for one person might not work for another, and that's totally fine.
So no comparing. It's
Yeah.
all about finding what feels good for you.
Exactly. And lastly, be informed. Do your research, understand the potential risks and benefits. Approach this with a sense of curiosity and responsibility.
Right. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your own body.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So it sounds like the rose might be making headlines, but ultimately it's about each woman finding her own path to pleasure and well-being.
It's a personal journey, and it's all about what feels right for you.
Beautifully said. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. Intense climaxes, long-term effects, self-awareness, all that good stuff. But before we wrap things up, I want to talk about something else. We've been talking about individual experiences, but let's be real, most people aren't experiencing this stuff in a vacuum.
Right. Intimacy often involves more than just one person. How does something like the rose impact relationships? That's the next big question.
All right, so we're back. We've been really deep in the world of the rose.
Yeah, from those intense personal stories to thinking about the long-term effects. It's been fascinating.
It really has. But now I'm thinking, how does a product like this, change things in a relationship? It's one thing to explore on your own, but most people have partners, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Intimacy is often like a shared experience. And introducing something new, especially something like this, well, it can shift the dynamic, you know?
For sure. It could spark curiosity, maybe even some like anxiety or questions. So, how do partners typically react to the rose? Let's be specific here. How do men react?
Right, because we've been mostly focusing on women's experiences so far. Well, like anything related to relationships and intimacy, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Men are just as diverse in their thoughts and feelings as anyone else.
True. So, it's not like all men will react the same way. Some might be totally cool with it, and others might be like a little freaked out.
Exactly. Some men might feel, I don't know, a little insecure maybe, like, is this thing replacing me? Or if their partner is having these super intense experiences with the rose, does that mean, like, they're not good enough?
I could see that, like, all of a sudden there's this new thing in the bedroom that's like raising the bar.
Yeah, it could definitely create some interesting conversations.
So communication is super important, but I guess some men could be like excited about it too, right?
Absolutely. Some guys might see it as like an opportunity to learn more about their partner, you know, to explore new things together, to connect in a different way.
So instead of seeing it as a threat, they see it as a way to like spice things up.
Exactly. And don't forget the potential benefits for men, too. If a woman is feeling more confident and sexually fulfilled, that can have a positive impact on the whole relationship.
Ah, so it's not just about the woman's pleasure. It's about the connection between the two partners.
Right. It's like if you're both happy and satisfied, that creates a better atmosphere overall.
That makes sense.
Mm.
But still, communication is key, right? Like talking about it openly and honestly.
Absolutely. That's essential for any healthy relationship, but especially when you're introducing something new, something that could potentially be, you know, a little sensitive.
Okay, good advice.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing for relationships. It just requires like a little extra effort and communication.
Exactly. And remember, curiosity and a willingness to learn from each other can go a long way.
Totally. It sounds like the rose isn't just changing how women experience pleasure. It's also making couples rethink how they approach intimacy in communication.
It's like a catalyst for growth and deeper connection if you approach it the right way.
That's a great way to put it. So we've come a long way in this deep dive. Intense personal experiences, potential long-term effects, the importance of communication in relationships.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It really has. But one thing is clear. The rose is definitely shaking things up. It's prompting all these important conversations about pleasure, relationships, and how we approach intimacy.
It's reminding us that sexuality is constantly evolving, and being open to new experiences and discoveries can lead to a more fulfilling and, well, just more fun experience for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, on that note, we'll leave you to continue your own exploration and discovery. Maybe even spark some interesting conversations with your partner. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.
Dive into the shadows of human nature with the Lost Tapes podcast, where the truths hidden beneath our daily lives are brought to light. We uncover the layers of complex relationships, hidden emotions, and raw realities, from mental health to life's hardest truths. No topic is off limits, no story too raw. The Lost Tapes podcast is your invitation to understand the unspoken facets of life. Join us and let's explore life's hidden sides, one story at a time. Don't miss out on more hidden truths. Subscribe now to the Lost Tapes podcast. Stay curious. Stay informed. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to never miss an episode.